Forms. In this module, we are going to learn how to create and work with forms. What are they for? All companies need to store data. Data can be used in processes, reports. There are a lot of ways to collect data. For example, robots, system communication. A form is especially necessary when people are the ones introducing data. If a company allows its employees to directly modify the information stored in its database without any restrictions, it runs a high risk as human error is unavoidable, and this means the data can be inconsistent. Forms are used to collect and manage information through an easy and intuitive interface for people. They also need to guarantee that the structure is correct. In a form, we can add all the necessary controls so the information we add in our database is correct, with the correct format. We have two types of forms, responsive and dynamic. Before creating a form, we have to take into account which device is going to be used, the quantity of info we are going to interact with, the user's profile, etc. It would be absurd to ask a user to fill out a tax return complex form or 100 technical cards of vehicles with a small mobile device. But it is okay to use it for confirmation form, approval, or any other simpler tasks. We are going to see here an example of how the different types of form respond to different functionalities. The responsive has a low configuration difficulty and it has basic functionalities. The dynamic one is medium and their functionality is advanced. The responsive form fits the width of the device while the dynamic only fits to the window in full screen mode. As for the position of the contents in the responsive is bootstrap, while unlimited in the dynamic one. It is also important to mention that the responsive is the ideal format for small devices like phones, and the dynamic one is the ideal for computers, tablets, and big devices. Where do we find forms? We have forms in families of records, in the processes, for the contacts, etc. Let's see now how forms can be used in a family of records. In this case, the responsive form is not available. Where can we create a form for a family of records? I go to Structure, Accounts, and Forms. And from here, I open an existing form. There may be forms. There might be many forms. The one created as main is the one used by default. The other forms will be used according to the defined configuration. Here we can see, from here we can create one and also copy existing one. As for the forms for the processes, when we select a form or create a new one, we can see this previous window showing us the three possible options for a form. The system will show us the tablet and phone option when it detects we are opening the form in one of them, unless we have previously selected the inherit default option, in which case it shows the chosen one. In this course, we will only learn how to create dynamic forms. When we click on a dynamic form, we can see this working area. Here we have the action bar, which is here, forms identity, create and edit elements, which is here, yeah. Attributes, you can open here, the attributes panel, form design area, and the position bar. In the main menu, we should outline the last three buttons, these three, okay? One is location. It allows you to know the location of the terms used in the form. Pages. It allows you to create different pages in the form. And form properties. You can define the form properties here. It's explained later on. It is important to mention that depending on where the form is going to be used, the configuration options might be different In this case, we're going to see the IM forms. We can see that the properties are divided into different sections. We have general data, okay, actions when opening form, actions on saving form, style, and window. Okay, general data, it allows us to choose the kind of user that will have access to the form, language, access permissions, and the conditions and trigger elements in the form. Actions when opening form, it allows you to update data, deciding which moment we want to improve the performance and execute actions. Actions on saving the form, this will be explained later on. Style, it allows you to change the style, background and other elements, and window, size and position in which the form will be opened. In a family of records form, I can see the same options but the style one. Now let's see every section in more detail. So in the general data, we have chapter, the name of the form, then we have the user, also the description here, the language, secure room, we will see it in another course, it is used to limit the access to the form, fields used in conditions, it allows us to see a list with all the fields used in conditions, and triggered elements, it allows us to see a list with all the triggered elements. For example, if we have indicated that when a specific value in a field is selected, certain content is triggered or shown. Actions when opening a form. The updating options will be explained later. So all these things we will be explained later. Optimize performance. A division is just a space or layer where you can add content. A form contains one or more divisions. Each division can hold one or more elements. In this example, we will see a form with two simple divisions. But a form can have several divisions with hundreds of elements. In this case, the form might take a while to load. A common practice is to use the use of the conditional logic to show the divisions. It is possible to create a form with multiple divisions, but that only the corresponding ones are shown depending on the user's interaction with the form. For example, I can add the form, show a division, and via button show another division to show another division via condition to the value of a field. So let's see how we can optimize the performance. This option has been created to allow the loading times distribution according to the necessity. We need to think this through depending on what we need and want. If we select opening the form, only the data that must be displayed when opening the form is loaded. This makes the form load faster, but every time a division with more data has to be shown, it might take a while to load. When loading divisions, all data is loaded. Opening the form is slower, but opening divisions will be immediate. Okay, actions on saving the form. A and B will be explained later on. As we saw before, we might have an employee telephone number in a contact record. So if I can change the phone number here, the ideal scenario here would be that the data is updated when saving the form. This is possible if we select this option A. It can also be interesting in the form making calculations when saving the form, if I have lots of them, or when entering the data. As for the style section, there are three possibilities for the forms: minimal, bootstrap, and small. As for the fields and button styles, they are created in the gallery as we saw before and can be applied to the whole form or just to a few fields. From elements in the header, we can remove the header or just an element, if desired. Not selecting the buttons to close the superimposed window option will make the circle across disappear. We can also select here all the buttons we want the action bar to have. Okay, all these ones. Windows. Here we can indicate the size. The window size in a form can be default, maximize, indicate, you just define the exact size, automatic, adapt size to the context, predefined format. From here we can select the TEW. It is possible to show the form center or to indicate an exact position. This functionality is only applied when the form is smaller than the division. To create a form, the first thing we need to do is to add a division, so we can add all the necessary elements. Here we can see the division. In this form we include several elements: buttons, the background, complements, where we can add text and images, and fields. How to add elements to a form. From option A panel, we can configure the division and its contents. From B, we can add contents to the form. Here we are going to learn about the divisions and about the fields in the form. To add a division, we need to click here, okay? To hide the divisions, we need to click on C in here. As for the fields, we can order them from here, from D. In E and F, we just can see the title and the description. If we go to here, G, it allows you to customize the internal names. If an internal names have been modified, this option will be highlighted. We will have like a little square here. H, specific setting options for an element. Here we can see the internal name. Okay, here we can choose if we want the element visible in the form or not, and if we want it to be editable. This only applies to the group of fields, and this one if we want it to be mandatory in the form. Values. From here we can select if the value is free, calculated or limited. Free, data freely introduced by user, only limited by the type of field. For example, if it's a numeric field, users will only be allowed to add numbers. Calculated, data introduced through calculations defined in the processes. The values can be dynamic. Unlimited, fields can have limitations. For example, a text field might only contain emails. One field cannot be higher than another. Depending on the type of form, other options might appear. We will see it later. In here, these are a few more options, okay? Here you can state the conditions that have to be met so the field is visible. Here you can see if the field has been triggered. These two tell us how and where the field labels appear, the buttons. S, type of term, if it's general. And in here, the data type. Okay, if it's a one-line text, if it's a decimal number, etc. Now that we have learned about all the elements and fields in a division, we can move on to learning about how to create the elements in a form. When we click here, okay, we just get a panel with all these options. They're organized in 3 sections: repositories, fields, and other. we can see all the elements we can add to the divisions. Firstly, we need to create a division. So here we can see that we can create a complement. Yeah, so we can create a division here and then we can add a complement. In this example, we can see several complements. For example, the titles are complements. The logo as well would be another complement. And from complements, we can see buttons as well, like this one. Buttons allows us to create actions, and we will have to go here. This is one button. To sum up, we have all these types of fields. We have complements and buttons to perform actions. We also have the position bar, which is down here. That allows us to do a lot of things. These ones are to align the text, like left, center, right, top, or the complement, or the field. Then distribute. Yeah, we also have equal width, bring forward and send backwards, guides, if we want some lines to appear here so we can actually see if they're all straight. Movements aligned to 5x5 pixels grid, and the last one, yeah, which is a background veil. Let's create a form now. For that, I'll go to the application, and here we need to go to structure. For example, families of records. I'll go to the products one. Products, forms, and let's go to this one. Here we can see that we have a form, but we're going to create another one. So we need to click on create. Okay, and then we need to choose a name. As always, I'll go for something simple. I could add a description here if I wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it for now. Continue. Okay. Now we are in the area when I can edit the forms. First of all, if I go into Forms property, I could choose a style if I wanted from here. Okay, I'm going to leave minimal, which is fine, but I'm going to change the background color. So we can change it here. Let's copy and paste it. It's quicker. And select, I'm going to select in window, indicate. And then just add the value you want. Maybe 800. Okay, and now we just save and exit. To start creating a form, we need first of all a division. So we just go to this plus icon and original division. Okay, I can drag it or I can make it bigger if I want to, or a specific size if I use these options here. We will do that later on. We can add a name to the division. We can do it from here. So let's put, I don't know, product data maybe. Okay, we can see the name already there. As I mentioned before, we can set a specific size for the division. We just have to add each exact number here. So let's do it now so you can see it. So 1065. It's important to press intro as soon as we finish adding the number, because otherwise sometimes it doesn't really apply it. And position related to the window, we're going to change it to 10. And 10. Let's save it. Once the general shape has been configured, we start adding elements to the division. First, I'll add a logo and a title. For that, I need to add complements. So let's call this one, let's go first and let's create a title first. the internal name. So this is not the one we are going to see. That's the one for the system. Well, let's save it. Here is where we have to type the text we want to appear. So in this case, we're just going to, I don't know, product data maybe. And save. In here, I haven't mentioned it before, we can choose if we want a header visible or not. Okay, we want a background color, the borders, shadows. Okay, if we wanted to add an image, we will see it later on. Okay, we could do it from here as well, apart from changing styles and so on. Okay, yeah, we want it visible, so save and exit, and we can see it here. Again, we can make it bigger or smaller and move it along. If I wanted to add a style in here, let's add a style so you can see, we would just highlight it, go here, and then choose one. These ones can be a default one or some of the ones that I have created before. So these ones I created before, so let's choose that one. Save it. Save and exit, and we can see it has changed to another style. To add a logo, I'll have to do the same. I'll have to add another original complement. I'm going to call it logo. Again, this is the internal name. So and from here, text in base language, I can go either here or here. So I can add an image from my computer, or I could add an image from the gallery, the Aura Portal gallery. As I want to use one of the Aura Portal's logo that is already in the gallery, I'll go here. And as I added myself before, it will be in the private section. So yeah, this is the one. So choose, accept, selection, save and exit. Save and exit. As you can see, is here. Again, we can drag it, we can make it smaller. So now we have two original complements. Let's create some terms now. So if I click here, we will see all the elements. It's very important that the division is selected, because if I don't select the division, I won't be able to add anything. So I need to select the division and then go here. So we have already learned how to add terms and bring them to the panel. So we are going to just do that now. So I'm going to choose name, available, price, and class, for example. Accept selection, and they are all here. Let's see how to organize them. So if I put this one there, let's first spread them. So I make sure the first two are more or less as I would like them to be. Okay, once they're in the right place, more or less, I can just select those two. Yeah, I just always need two. And click in distribute. Also, I can click on the keyboard L. As we can see, it just moved to the left, so they are aligned to the left. And now if I wanted these two the same as these two, I just have to select them all and click on distribute. Okay, easy, and left. Okay, as you can see, we can do it from here. Okay, or we can do it with shortcuts in the keyboard. Okay, so align left, I can go either here or just select them and press L in the keyboard. Okay, I'm going to add now the prefix and suffix we created before. So for that, I could either go to all, or I could go to family element directly. And can you see? It's here. Accept selection. And we have manager. Okay. Again, I think I mentioned it before, but just to make sure you remember, if I wanted to delete them, I just had to select one and just press delete. And it will ask me if I'm really sure, and I just have to say yes. Yeah. If I wanted to add, okay, let's make sure. Let's go and find the suffix as well that we created before, was absent. Here it is. Okay, accept. Accept. Now imagine I want to add as well, okay, for the manager, not only if it's absent or not, but also the email. So as I want it related to this one, it needs to be a suffix. As I said before, we can create some of them here. So if I wanted here, if I went in here and here, I could create some. But if I already have created the prefix, I cannot modify it from here. Okay, I wouldn't be able to modify it. But I can do something that is normally a bit quicker. So I can go to the prefix I have and just go to here. Yeah, and it takes me to the dictionary of terms, and here I can add it. So I have absent that I created before. If I go to record fields, I could add the email suffix, that is the one I wanted. I think it's this one. I think it is the only one. Yeah. Okay, save. And it's here already. Okay. Save. And if I went in here and suffix, it should come up. And here it is. Okay, so if we want to add or create a prefix, we can do it from here. But if you wanted to add or modify a prefix that is already created or add a new suffix, then we have to go to the dictionary of terms. Okay, now how can I change the size of a field? That is quite easy. If I click here, okay, as you can see, I can make it bigger or smaller. Yeah, and that's always the case. Okay, it's always easy. Just click and just move it like that. I'll add some fields now. So for example, let's add a date and time field and a description one. Date and time. This it might exist already. So okay, I have it already. Description one. Okay, as I said, if we select, we can make it bigger or smaller. Yep. And let's add fields to the record. Create general demo. And I'm going to create this one, upcoming revision. I don't have. And type of data. Even time. Continue. And save and exit. Now I just need to find it. Right. Accept selection and bring it to the panel. Okay, as you can see, it's quite easy once you have done it a couple of times. Again, we click here, can do like that. If I wanted to have it distributed like this once, I will just have to press left, distribute, and let's add these ones as well, and distribute. Oh, sorry, I just no. Okay, now, as I said, we just can make them bigger or smaller. Okay. Remember that we can, use all these things to move the fields around. If we select the division and go to the fields, here we can see all the options we can configure. So select division and go here. Yeah, we can make this bigger. We can see all the things we have in the form. If I select one, okay, you can see that it's highlighted in here, so it's easier to find it, especially when we have quite a few ones. If we select a specific field in the division, as I said, it will be highlighted. And if we wanted to configure it, we could go either here, yeah, sorry, this one, let's choose this one, because that's a system one, yeah. And then we can also go in here, okay, and we could see the options. So when we want to configure something, some of the fields, we can do it either from here or directly from here, because there's always a little icon, okay. Depending on the type of term, we will have some options or others. Okay, from attributes, we can make the fields visible, we can choose design, and we can select all these options, yeah? Fail around division, condition, read only, if it's trigger, etc. Okay. Let's add a group of fields now. First, let's save it. And let's add a group of fields. So you can go to group of fields directly. As I can say, yeah. Can you see, please select a division before adding elements. It's really easy to forget. So we select the division and go here. As I can see, I have one already created, so I'm gonna just go to create one and change the names slightly. So create group of fields, demo. Let's see if we can do it this way. Okay, and as we can see, the two that the system has already added. And now let's create some terms in the group of fields. General one. Okay, type of data, one line text. And I'm going to call it name of the campaign. Hopefully it will let us do it. there must be a similar one. Okay. Save. Create another. Data one. Date one. Okay. Start the campaign. Perfect. Create another one. End of the campaign. A simple selection one. Code media. The options. Radio. And press. Save and exit. Okay, television, radio, press. Save and exit. Now let's create a column footer. Name of the campaign, and operation, number of lines. Save and exit. Okay, now we just need to bring it to the panel. Save and exit. And let's find the group of fields. And accept. Okay. Right. We can configure the group of fields from the form. So we could configure it from here. From there as well. Yeah. So if I go here, I can choose the terms I want visible. So for example, if I don't want all these system ones, not interested in them to be in the form, I can just do that and they won't be visible. Okay. I can make them mandatory, editable, okay, and set the value if I want it free, limited, calculated. We will see that later on in more detail. Okay, so I'm gonna deselect the first four and save and exit. As you can see here, if I choose this field, okay, I can just do this to make it smaller or bigger. Yeah. With the group of fields is a bit different. Okay, because it works as a one thing. So as a one thing, but when it comes to sizes, I have to work with them individually. So if I wanted to make this a bit smaller, I'll just have to kind of, you know, have to do this kind of thing. Okay, as you can see here, also the top bit I can change, yeah, and the space. So it goes a bit smaller or a bit bigger, okay, a group of fields. It always ends up at the bottom of the division, okay? So if I were to do this, okay, it will just move again, okay? Always ends up at the bottom. So we have just learned how to create a form and how to change the name of the terms and its sizes, to place them, align them and distribute them, and also configure them. Now let's learn how to create a button. So if we go here and we go to other, we can find actions button. Again, I need to select the division, remember that. Actions button, and I'm gonna call it exit. Let's create a simple one. Continue. Here I can choose a style. Yeah, you can previously create some styles for your buttons, or just use the ones that are already created there. Okay, so these ones are created by the system, these ones I created myself. So I'm going to choose the neon blue with 3, that one. Okay, and now we can add an action. Okay, and in this case it's going to be a simple one, it's just exit, obviously. So accept selection, it will appear here, and save and exit. And now we have the button that, as always, we can drag, put in the right place. We can also make smaller or bigger, yeah. Now, as we have created this action button that actually is going to let me leave the form, I don't need, by going to form properties, I don't need the exit option here, because it's already something that the button is going to do. And I'm going to deselect save as well, because I'm going to create another button for that. So another button for that. Let's go here, select the division, add action button, and this time it's going to be save. Again, we're going to choose the same one, same style, add actions, save. There's quite a few actions here. I'm just choosing quite simple ones, quite straightforward ones. Save and exit, and again, drag it wherever we want, and change the size. These lines are the guys I was talking about before. They're quite useful. Okay, and save. So let's save. Okay, and exit. As we can see here, we have 2 forms for this family. Okay, so if we have more than one, we have to select the one we want to be the main one. Okay, so this one is the one I've been creating, so I'm just going to choose that one. Okay, and in here, okay, we can go to grid configuration, and here we could add filters and columns. Okay, I'm going to add some so you can see. So let's add barcode, and the other general term we created a second ago, upcoming revision, accept, and we set them here. Okay, save, and now we're gonna add them as columns too. So again, barcode, upcoming revision, accept, save. Okay, general, save. Here, if we go to fields with exclusive content, as I mentioned before, Okay. I'm going to choose name and barcode. This means all the names have to be different and all the barcodes have to be different. We can't have two that have the same barcode, for example, okay? We could choose all of them if we wanted to. So I'm just going to choose those two. And in calendar view, we could just add a record if we wanted to. I'm just going to leave it, but it's another option. So save and exit. Okay, so let's go to families of records here, products. And we can see, can you see all the things we just created and added, all the buttons we just added, this, okay? So we just could add any data we wanted to. For example, if we want to find a manager, okay. As you can see, I chose, because this is a prefix, I chose some information and then it filled up the rest, the suffixes, okay. In here we could add a date and a time, yeah. And if we wanted to add something to the group of fields, we could add here the name, start of the campaign, end of the campaign, okay. Media was a simple selection one, so we just need to choose one, okay. Save and exit. And as you can see, we have all the information here. And we could save and we could exit. Okay. We can also see that we added in the filters the barcode and this, the upcoming revision. Okay. So that's what they are here in the filters. And now we have learned a bit about forms. It's your turn to do part 3.